What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and my beautiful wife here, Laurel, here
Hello.
as our special guest. We also have another special guest for the time being, our cat Lily, who just jumped up here in the background as we were getting ready to film. We'll see how long she stays here. But yeah, my wife Laurel here. We wanted to talk about a couple issues that is going on here in America right now. One of the top issues, actually, as multiple different states are going through this right now. We'll start
Oh,
with this first one here. Yeah, Laurel actually brought this to my attention here. Check this out. So look at this story that happened here in Louisiana as more and more states are banning abortion with total bans,
hmm
no exceptions, and putting the risk of mothers at uh, at risk, the lives at risk.
yeah.
Take a look here.
So I saw this article the other day that this poor woman, Nancy Davis, learned this month that the baby that she was carrying had a rare and fatal condition. She said that there's nothing I wanted more than this child. So the baby was diagnosed with archrania. It's a fatal condition in which the fetus does not develop a skull. So basically, there's no bone, no bone structure or anything to protect the one of the most important organs that humans have, the brain. As they weighed their options, her doctor referred her to an abortion clinic. Yet, what ensued in the days after she made that wrenching decision to have an abortion shows how the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling overturning the constitutional right to an abortion has sown confusion and turmoil among doctors, families, and officials across the country. So basically, this poor woman is being forced to carry this baby to term that isn't going to survive. So she's being forced to carry this baby just to bury it.
That's really sad.
Yeah. So Louisiana will not allow her to have an abortion, even though the baby is terminal,
Not viable at
not
all. I mean,
viable.
you can't
You
live
can't
without us.
survive with no skull. So basically, this child has a death sentence, and this woman is forced to carry a child that and go through labor and go through everything knowing that this poor baby is going to be born and not make it. That is gut wrenching. It's making me upset just thinking about it, that you're going to have this beautiful moment where you give birth to a child only knowing that they're not going to make it and that you're going to have to bury your child. Um, so her options are to either carry the child to term, which she's being forced to do, or she needs to travel to another state that allows an abortion, which I think it's Florida she can go to get an abortion. So those are her options right now. But they're basically in her state where she lives, she's being forced to carry a child that can't survive.
My wife had a miscarriage before our son Julian, so
hmm
she's pretty um, passionate about some of this stuff
Yeah,
because, and
well,
plus my wife almost died when
yeah.
she gave birth. She had severe preeclampsia,
hmm
and they had to put her on magnesium,
mm
and it was a very
Traumatic experience.
yeah, difficult time. And she was bedridden, couldn't walk for 24 hours
Or
because of
C.
the dosage they had her on.
Yeah.
So a lot of this stuff is very dangerous. We read an article here, or I read an article here yesterday.
Oh yeah. This is a hot one.
Well, this isn't the article I read yesterday,
No,
but
but this is
here,
a hot
you
one.
can show this one.
This is a really hot one. So in Florida, there's a 16-year-old girl who wants to have an abortion, and Florida has ruled that she is not mature enough to have an abortion, so they're forcing her to have the child. But she's mature enough to have a baby?
That's a really
How does that work?
that's an interesting headline. A 16-year-old is mature enough to have a baby but not have an abortion. So
What?
so 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 think about that. Is that
Makes no
And then
sense.
it's basically a child is going to be raising a
A child,
child.
yeah, exactly.
Because you're not an adult by legal definitions until you're 18.
Yeah.
So you're going to be a child raising a child, but you're mature enough to have a baby. The law's really a strange thing.
Yeah, and here's the thing I was telling you about yesterday.
And these are the legal battles that is going on right now in almost every state.
Yeah.
Almost every state. And I totally get that there's a lot of pro-life people and pro-choice people. And honestly, I respect a lot of people's decisions on this. And I get that everybody has a lot of, I mean, because honestly, it's a really tough decision.
It is.
It's a really tough decision.
It's a
And
horrible situation to
yeah,
have to be in.
it's a really, I honestly think it's probably the hardest decision a woman goes through. I could never be the person. If I was a Supreme Court justice or a state legislator, I could never tell a woman what to do with her body. I mean, look at the choices that women go through.
Yeah.
Women die giving birth. And imagine the women, you know, we all know about the 10-year-old girl in Ohio that got raped, and Ohio told her that she couldn't have an abortion, that they were going to force her to have the baby. And then she went to Indiana to have the abortion.
Who was it that was saying that she wasn't a real person?
Yeah,
she was made up.
Yeah, one of the I think it was one of the attorney generals before they caught the guy was saying, we don't even know if this is a real story. This could just be a made up story by the media. And then, like, literally the next day, they arrested the guy who caught him. And then they kind of walked that back and they said, well, thank God we caught the guy. And they were like, but just yesterday you were saying that this could be a made up story. And it's just like, yeah.
Come on, guys.
This is it's not even about one specific story. This type of stuff happens.
Yeah.
And think about this going forward. There's going to be thousands of people. Some states have banned no exceptions. So there's no medical exceptions. Some states have very few medical exceptions. Some states have no rape exceptions.
Yeah.
And the other problem here is that we went over the story here yesterday where the no medical exceptions or the few medical exception states. Think about these women that could die or will die because of this. The story that I read yesterday or the day before, you weren't on camera, they were going to force this woman to give birth or wait until the baby's
are you talking about the one with the Republican?
Yeah, the Republican congressman said he had voted for the heartbeat law, but he was in tears after he had learned kind of some of the specific situations, and he said he wouldn't vote for it again. It was still kind of going through I think it was South Carolina, because now that he's kind of learned, he's for pro-life, but he says that now that he's kind of learned a lot of these exceptions, there needs to be some exceptions because he doesn't want to put people's lives at risk when it comes. There was a non-viable baby in the mother, and they told us the fetus was going to die. It was a certainty the fetus was going to die, and they wouldn't take it out because they said they can't by law until the heartbeat was gone. The fetus was going to die for sure. They told this I think it was a 19-year-old girl that she was going to have a 50% chance of losing her uterus and a 10% chance that she was going to go into sepsis and die before the baby came out on its own. And they wouldn't take the baby out, even though it was a certainty that it was going to die.
Sometimes your body doesn't do its job and doesn't expel the baby. And that's when you go septic.
But the thing is now with these new laws in several states, they won't take the baby out.
I know.
And there's no medication, what they call abortion medication.
Won't prescribe it.
They won't prescribe it. So this is kind of the problem that we're running into.
Yeah.
And women's lives are at risk. So in fact, according to multiple polls, 90% of people, whether you're pro-life, pro-choice, or in the middle, 90% of people are for exceptions when it comes to the mother's life being at risk and non-viable fetuses where the fetus is not going to live and the mother could die or be severely at risk, or things like rape are involved. So 90% of people think that there should be exceptions, but there's a lot of states that have no exceptions or few exceptions that do not have these type of things here. Okay? So this is kind of the problem as America is deciding these things.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other kind of thing here is that should the government decide these things for a woman?
I don't think so, no. No.
So now imagine if like you were this woman here who had a baby with no skull and the doctor's saying, sorry, we can't help you. The government has told us
That's horrifying to force you to have to. And this woman's only 13 weeks along, so she's going to have to go like 20 weeks or 25 weeks carrying this child.
So this is kind of the...
That is going to affect this woman's mental health for the rest of her life.
I personally think the best thing that we could do going forward is tell our congressmen, congresswomen, and our legislators to put it on the ballot. Because this way, if we have it on the ballot, one state has put it on the ballot so far, Kansas, and actually voted it down to... Kansas is actually a mostly red Republican state. They actually voted it down to outlaw it. Now, it doesn't mean that necessarily will happen in each state, but at least they could put it on the ballot and they could have, it may pass, it may not. Each state, if it does pass, what would pass with medical exceptions, with, exceptions for rape, things like that. And I think that people would be surprised because, again, 90% of people think that there should be at least those type of exceptions.
Yeah.
And we obviously have a lot of different opinions, especially with red states and blue states. But the vast majority of people think that if you have a non-viable baby in there, the baby's not going to make it for sure. Why would we want to make a woman carry this with a baby that has no skull? No. A woman who's been raped, 90% of people think that a woman should not have to go through that trauma. I get the occasional comment of people saying, well, she should give that up for abortion. Well, first of all, or I'm sorry, she should give that up for adoption. Sorry. She should give that up for adoption. First of all, a woman should have that choice if she wants to. She shouldn't be forced to give it up for adoption, right? So first is that the government shouldn't make a rape victim carry a baby. I mean, you can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. But if you force this woman who's already been raped forcibly, then be forced to have a baby by the government.
Yeah, that's...
How much more do we want to put this woman through? Okay. Second of all, you look at this statistic here. How many kids are waiting adoption in the United States? Of the 400,000 children in foster care, approximately 117,000 are waiting to be adopted.
Well, what about the rest of those? What about the 300 some odd out of the 400?
They're in foster care and maybe awaiting adoption.
Yeah, I mean,
there's hundreds of thousands of them 400,000 in foster care, and 117,000 are waiting to be adopted.
Yeah.
So that means, 117,000 are waiting to be adopted, and the other ones have not been adopted.
Yeah, I mean, put it this way: if you want to adopt a baby, there are plenty in the U.S. alone, let alone from other countries. Plenty.
Right? Yeah, so it's not like, I mean, we already have hundreds of thousands of kids who are not adopted
and are in need of a good home.
There's so many kids that aren't adopted that the foster system is overrun with children who never get adopted.
So we don't need to be forcing anybody to have babies.
Yeah, in fact, that I seen some comments. I actually seen some comments saying, "Yeah, Jimmy, I was a foster parent, or I am a foster parent, or my mother was a foster parent who had several children," and said,
Mhm.
um, in fact, comment down below if you are or were, or your mom or dad was, or anything like that. I seen some people saying, "Yeah, I seen multiple people, children go through the foster system their
Mhm.
whole lives and never get adopted."
And that's just sad, you know?
And then, if you don't believe, if that's not enough, then we have this.
Oh, I seen this and woo! I was fuming when I seen this one.
You can't make this stuff up,
Nope.
guys. I'll let
Oh,
Laurel read this one
oh,
here.
this lady. I can't. GOP candidate and anti-abortion advocate running for Michigan governor, good luck, said rape victims find healing by being forced to have a baby. Please tell me how does that work? Please tell me.
I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that she's probably never been raped,
Ugh,
because I would probably take a guess that
I can't.
she probably wouldn't be smiling like that.
What is this woman thinking? Even making a statement like that? Is she nuts?
Her name is
Tudor Dixon.
Tudor Dixon. But yeah.
I cannot even believe that this woman would even put a statement like
She
that
says,
out
quote,
in the press.
she used this argument to explain why she wouldn't back a 14-year-old rape victim getting an abortion.
Oh my God. 14 years old.
So this is, honestly, guys, this is one of the biggest battles going on right now in America. And honestly, probably in a year, these type of battles will have simmered down and will mostly be finalized here in
I
America.
don't think so.
In a year or two. I mean, most of these states are gonna have, they'll be done. They'll have finalized. The Supreme Court decision has now come down to the states. In a year or two, all these states are gonna kind of have finished their decisions.
I think this kind of battle is gonna go on forever, and they're gonna keep cycling and cycling, and new governors are gonna come in and they're gonna change it.
Really?
And it's just
Let me
gonna
know
keep
your thoughts.
cycling and cycling and cycling.
You think?
Yes, I do.
We'll put it this way. This is the first time in a long time that we've really had this happen because of Roe v. Wade.
True.
So this is really a major turning point for our country, like we've never seen before.
But let me just say this. I explained this to you earlier. And I totally get being against abortion. I totally understand it. I get it. But here's the thing. The idea of not allowing it is an idea that we live in a world that's perfect, where babies develop with no issue. Babies develop perfectly with skulls and no fatal abnormalities, where young girls don't get raped. And sadly, we don't live in that world. We just don't. Bad things happen. Babies are born with disabilities. Babies are born with fatal diseases. And there are times where an abortion is the only way to go about. That's the only way you can get through what you've been dealt. We don't live in the perfect world where we cannot have something like that. I wish we did, but we don't. It is what it is. And unfortunately, we have to have something like that available to the women who need it.
Yeah. And the sad part about this is a lot of people making these decisions are
Old crusty men.
old white guys, and it's coming from a white guy here. Old white guys that haven't been through these situations.
No.
Like, I would never presume to tell a woman what to do with her body.
No.
It's just it's not my it's not my right. It's not my decision to tell somebody to do
You've
that.
seen what a miscarriage did to me.
Yeah, I mean,
And
and
it's still
I went through it because, you know, we're married,
I
and
know.
it was, but it wasn't
And
the same on me as it was on
I
you.
know, and I'm still affected to this day. Can you imagine if I had to carry a baby?
And your mom had
I
several
know, and it
miscarriages.
still affects her. But can you
And we were
imagine?
just talking about how one of your friends had 4
I
miscarriages
know.
and then finally had a baby.
I know, but can you imagine if I had to carry a baby to term and deliver a baby that had no skull? What that would do to you? You'd never be right.
That's the problem here, is what a lot of people don't realize. A lot of people just, like this Michigan governor who wants to, a lot of people just don't get it, man. Yeah, and I've talked about this before on our channel. You okay, baby? A lot of people just don't get it. They think that everything is a perfect world.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not.
It's not.
I've said this before on other related matters, like stimulus money for people.
Yeah.
That everybody should just go to work and go to work and help themselves.
Everything
what about
doesn't-
retired people? What about disabled people?
Everything
Like,
doesn't
there's so many
fit
people
into neat little boxes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've said before. What about grandmas and grandpas who are in their 70s and 80s?
Yeah.
What about, you know, disabled people? Like, not everybody fits into a perfect box.
Yeah.
Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Look, I'm all flushed.
She's all flushed. I get that way sometimes too. I'm always sometimes I'm a red-faced kind
Well,
of
you
guy.
know me, I'm Swedish. I always get like that.
She's a fair maiden. Speaking of fair maidens, Game of Thrones, the new Game of Thrones starts tonight.
And this fair maiden back here stayed the whole time.
Look how nice and gentle she looks.
Lily! Don't perked up. Hi, baby!
Yeah, so let me know. Are you watching the new Game of Thrones? What's it called?
House of the Dragon.
The House of the Dragon. And the new Lord of the Rings starts in like what? Like
I think that
2 weeks
starts
or something?
Labor Day weekend, I saw.
Couple weeks.
It's called like the Ring of Power or something.
Ring of Power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's been a while since we've had a new Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings. So
I was just telling Jimmy I have a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth from the way that Game of Thrones ended. I was quite salty about how it ended.
I got a cool chick here because, man, how many girls watch Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones? Man, she's been with me through all of them. We've been together for 18 years.
Yes.
18 years, and we've been married for 11.
Yes.
See, I got it here. I remember them all. So yeah, let me know your thoughts here in the comments. We'll keep you up to date here, my beautiful wife Laurel. And yeah, let me know your thoughts here. I know everybody's got some different opinions on this stuff, and that's totally okay. That's what makes America America.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's got different opinions. That's what makes us great here as a country. But I think that a lot of people agree we got to have some exceptions for this stuff, for women that are carrying non-viable fetuses, for girls that have been raped and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they're battling this right now, probably in your state as we speak. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. Make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon so you don't miss out on new videos. I'll keep you up to date here on everything going on here in our country on a daily basis, and new types of stimulus packages and stuff going out. There's over 20 states sending out stimulus checks here right now. You can click this video right here to see my newest video about states that are sending out stimulus checks here next. Yours could be one of them. So click on that video next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.
See ya.